Hey, this is the World Advice Channel 2. What I want to talk about today is a question of why do black nations keep on failing? So for this video, what I will talk about today is why our nations keep on failing. Whether it could be Jamaica, Trinidad, the Bahamas, Bermuda, the nations that make up Africa, so on and so forth. Why do nations that we um control always seem to collapse is what I'll be talking about. So now I mentioned that, let's get started. So when it comes to the topic of why do black nations keep on failing, the simple reason is even though there's two main reasons. The first reason, which I'll get to first, is simply down to government corruption. Government corruption is absolutely one of the absolute biggest reasons why black nations fail. If not, not just well, not even if not, it's simply the main reason out of the many different reasons. If you had main reasons, like five main different reasons, that would be number one. Government corruption is absolutely the biggest issue that causes a lot of problems in the black community. Okay, um, it's simply down to somebody who wants more and is not willing to share more. Share something in return, in order for people to, of course, get something in return. The truth of the matter, it's this idea that I want everything now and I'm not going to share with other people. And that's the mindset behind that way of thinking. So the truth of the matter is that's exactly the truth about it. It is that way of thinking. And that's the reason why black nations tend to usually fail all the time, if not unanimously. It's just poor um ability to deal with government corruption. And as usual, it's the same freaking tactic. Whenever the nations start failing, let's blame this particular power. Whenever our nations are doing well, which not really ever, for that matter, you know, not really ever for that matter, that we won't focus on that. But when things start going bad again, then we'll blame whites and we'll blame whites and whites and whites. Just like how for the Middle East, they always like to blame Israel. And for Asia in general, they tend to, you know, maybe not as much nowadays. It's only really China who does it, but like they tend to hate on Japan, particularly Japan. It's always Japan's fault for everything, for some weird reason. So that's the truth of the matter. It's the same story, always finding a scapegoat for your problems. And for the black nations, it's the same exact thing. No surprise. Let's blame white people for our problems instead of realizing a lot of it is actually kind of your own fault. And that's the truth of the matter, okay? Is that a lot of black nations fail because they're corrupt. These people want to spend their money and bling 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 on things like the next, you know, uh, designer clothing that, for all you know, was made in a warehouse and is actually in reality only really worth like 20, 30 something dollars in actuality to when it comes to the process of making it versus them charging you thousands of dollars for it, to, of course, the price of luxury cars and luxury goods and stuff that these people use that are probably not even that great. Whatever, you get the point. Okay, these people waste, and so on and so forth, for that matter. The truth of the matter is, when it comes to that particular issue, for that matter, okay, um, you know, um, to be quite blunt and honest with you, that is what they do, okay, all the time. They just focus on that instead of why don't we build up better infrastructure for our nations? Why don't we build, not just better infrastructure. Why don't we build better health centers and stuff, more hospitals, and so on and so forth to make our nations improve? They don't focus on that. They just want to focus on blaming, you know, white people for all their problems and also putting money in their own pocket. That's simply the end of the story. There's nothing more to it than that. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. So now, obviously, the question that would come up is if there's anything to mention for this one particularly, is what could the solution to this be? Well, the solution to it could be different, many different things. Everything from better government corruption standards, like better standards of being able to deal with government corruption. But the best thing to also keep in mind is to kind of also realize, in the end of the day, it also comes down to teaching people how to have self control, because this is one of the biggest problems with the world in general, okay, is that a lot of people in the world do not have self control, okay? When it comes to things like money and stuff, you need to have good self control. You need to learn, okay, I'm gonna have this much of this, and I'll make sure I do not share it, or I should say, I share with other people instead of just keeping it out to myself. Okay. Now, of course, when you say it around a lot of people, especially the more communist-minded people, oh, here we go again, an idealist. That's not how the real world works. Except the fact that there also still clearly be regulatory methods and so on and so forth to make sure that we can kind of keep track of 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 the idea that public funds are still going to a place that they're supposed to be going, but these people are stupid. They just hear what they want to hear. They listen to things. They're like the type of people who, like, you're having a conversation, they deliberately sit on a chair in the background just to listen in so they can form an opinion on it, and sometimes they even try to hear what you're saying so they can use it against you at some point. Just sons of bitches, to answer your question. Absolutely no regard for morals and stuff for that matter, okay? The truth of the matter is, in the end of the day, when it comes to this particular issue for that matter, okay? Um, this issue for that matter, to put it bluntly, um, we need people who have good self control. And of course, find the people who are the right people in the first place. Not people just there to waste your freaking time. And you have to teach them, like, also understand the benefits of not being corrupt. Like the fact that everything will come back towards you. You might have to wait a bit longer, but you'll gain a great return in the end of the day. So that's one thing I definitely can say for the first point. Okay, I'll do a video eventually where I get into further detail, but that's the solution to my first point, as well as, of course, an explanation of the first point why Black nations fail. The second point to also mention when it comes to why Black nations fail is it simply comes down to lack of organization, or I should say, in other words, just bad cultural habits. Such as, for example, if you're running a business and you want your nation to develop, if you're going to have people who are going to be driving a place all the time and are going to be showing up late every single time, then no one's really going to want to work with you. And in the Black community, this is one thing I have seen numerous times. People always showing up super late to things. And they do this all the time. And then they want to go to a place and then have a discussion about you and talk a whole load of shit about the Black community and all this type of stuff, about, the youth need to do better. But shouldn't you be setting an example? Why are you showing up so late to things? And that's the thing I'm trying to get across here. A lot of Black people do that. Most Black business owners actually do that. And when you look at that way of thinking, why is anyone going to want to work with you, for that matter, if you're going to be showing up super late to anything? And that's the thing to also keep in mind for that stuff, okay? Not to mention when you go work with them, they're always overcharging you. Something could, that would normally be maybe $10-ish or something, like if it's a plate of food or something, anywhere in the world for that matter, when you're around those people, they're going to be charging you like freaking $13-14, and the quality a lot of times not even that great. But it's not even about the quality for that matter. It's just down to the fact that they're charging you so much money all the time. They don't even understand the concept of an average price for things. And that's one thing I have to say. And they're just unorganized as well. To also add to that, you tell them, do this, do that. We want you to prepare for this event. We want you, okay, if you have a store or something, make sure you have this much of this, or you have this much of that, or make sure you have this on time and this and that. And they don't do that stuff. Sometimes you go to Black businesses and they don't even prepare the rice on time when you're trying to eat the food there. Like, how fucking dumb do you have to be? And it's so sad because I know there's some Black people out there who are not goofy like that. But at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is a lot of Black business owners are actually like that. And that's a second main reason why Black nations keep on failing. Because if you keep on doing that stuff over time, it can, of course, affect the economy. Because why would someone want to wait super duper long when they can rely on someone else to get things done? And it can add up in numerous different ways, and that other people to get things done, no surprise, are people of a different race who, in a lot of cases, just want to make sure that they keep the wealth to themselves. And obviously, if you have a nation that's majority Black, if the majority of them are not being organized and stuff, then obviously that adds up over time, you know, especially if they're showing up late. Then the majority of them are not making much money for anything. That's what I'm trying to say here. You know, okay, no shit, no surprise. So the solution to that would just be more organized. And if we could do that, I can literally guarantee you things would improve overnight. And that's the truth of the matter. So anyway, this is my video. All I have to say is that I hope this is something that you found informative as well as entertaining. All I have to say is that if you like this video and videos like this, remember to thumb this video up and hit the subscribe button. And this is all I have to say. And simply put it, I am out. So bye.